Alright, we're going to get the consolador. You think she can run away from me, but she cannot. You want to run? That is your prerogative. But I will hunt you, and I will hear you scream. Man, if they did like a Western version of like a Monster Hunter, which I'm sure there's probably a game out there that I'm not aware of, sort of a Western version of Monster Hunter, you would legitimately still have like probably like a sword and shield, but you would definitely have some variation of like a great sword or like a claymore type weapon, where it wouldn't necessarily be as big and bulky as the great sword is in this game, but it would definitely be like a two-handed thing that you would primarily, like I said, it would be sort of like an alternate to like a dual blades or sword and shield, where you're dealing slower but bigger damage, like great sword, but again, instead of it being like a sort of like a there's a weapon in Japan that kind of occasionally you'll see manga artists talk about, like Guts has one, Cloud has one, this oversized sword that was designed to cleave not only horse but rider all in one swing. It was super unwieldy to use. I want to call it a Zambato, but that's probably not right. It would be interesting. I don't know. I know a lot of the weapons would be very similar to Monster Hunter World, where you'd have a lance, probably with a shield, much like Great Lance. You would have some probably smaller, more dexterous form of great sword. Sword and shield, dual blades would probably exist. And then of course you'd have bow and arrow in some capacity. But I think you could definitely do like a halberd type class, where it's not as focused on, you know, like where the Great Lance has a very big shield. You know, halberd would be a two-handed weapon that would be kind of, I guess, like it might be a little bit like a switch axe, except the big difference would be, instead of it being like a sword and an axe, it would be like up, I'm dead. Yeah, I've seen that combo before. That combo is knock you off your bat, you know, knock you off your feet with a wind gust, deal some decent damage, and then you either go into a stun state or you don't dodge in the right direction, and he does a jump slash like you just saw. I playing enough Kashala, which I'm not going to say I played a ton of Kashalador in comparison to, say, some of the other monsters that have appeared in other Monster Hunter games, like, I don't know, almost carded again there. That would have been bad. Like the Dashagama would be an example. I fought Dashagama in this game. I fought it in Wilds. I fought it in what monster is it? Reach? Monster Hunter Reach. I mean, the only game I don't think I fought him in, and I don't know if he existed at this time, was Generation. He might be in Generations, I don't know. I'd have to look it up. But I haven't met him yet in Generation. Another monster I've fought a ton of, but I'm not sure, they may have added it in Iceborne DLC of this game, but can't remember his name now. His whole gimmick is he's a water soap monster. So he creates bubbles, and those bubbles can carry damage. We fought him in both. I fought him in both Monster Hunter Wilds, as well as Rise, as well as Generations Ultimate. So I'm kind of used to him. He's got an interesting fight dynamic, though. Okay, I thought he escaped to his nest. He's actually headed down this way. So he's still got a little bit more piss and vinegar in him that I need to beat out of his ass. Which he picked the perfect spot to do it in, because I'm gonna drop this big fucking crystal on his head. Wanna see? Watch. Oh, I didn't do it. I stink. Maybe I'll get a second chance here. Oh yeah, I'm gonna get a second chance. Come on, bud dum dum. Need you right about here. Gotcha, bitch. That's not only not only decent damage, but it's a knockdown too. That, however, you have to watch out for. His wings are kind of like steel.
You get injured, fall back and wait for the next chance. Stupidity is not something I tolerate.
Okay, thanks.
You do tolerate. We got it.
There's the excitable A-lister. Yeah, as you can see, none of them are in this battle at all helping me out. They're giving me hints, like, hey, maybe if you're having trouble fighting this Elder Dragon, maybe you should retreat from the area and give it another try when you're, like, back at full health with all the necessary gizmos and gadgets ready to go. I don't think that falls, unfortunately. I wish it did. Drop it right on his head. Nope. No soup for you. There's a reference that's going on 30 years old now. Yeah, wind does not equal good jumpy, Chris. Alright, we'll get him eventually. You can see Kushala is doing, at least with his armor build, he's doing significantly less damage than he was with my previous one. Could be because I've got this build pretty well powered up in terms of adding the extra armor spears to keep it relevant. Stop! I'll beat a turd. Dive is so devastating, though. He doesn't put me in KO as much as Aoster does. Maybe it's because I've got his main element negated. I don't know, or he just doesn't hit as hard. But yeah, the flying's annoying. Exciting as this Kashal Deor fight is, kind of a story I want to tell as well. So, I went to lunch today, come back from lunch. Someone goes, do you know how to drive stick? Well, yeah, my car is a stick shift. I know how to drive stick. He says, well, we need someone to take the boss's car over to get an oil change. He's got the appointment scheduled. So, like a dum-dum, I said to myself, yeah, I could do that. Except I forgot to ask 3 very important questions. First and foremost, I assumed someone was coming to pick me up after I dropped it off. That wasn't true. Second question was, should I do this, or should I stay at work and continue working on the stuff that I should have been working on? Again, that question didn't come till after I realized no one was coming to pick me up from the dealership, and I was just going to stay there until the car was ready. Third one was, how the fuck am I supposed to pay for this thing? You didn't give me the company credit card to pay for it. So those are three blunders I made today. All because I didn't do the old-fashioned thing and, you know, just like Nancy Reagan said, just say no to drugs, kids. I should have just said no to my boss and said, yeah, I know you own the company and all that fun jazz, but I don't want to drive your car down to, well, the dealership wasn't far away. It was about 10 minutes away. But I don't want to drive your car 10 minutes down the road and then spend like an hour there waiting for the oil to get changed. No, it did not take an hour for the oil to get changed. But it took me an hour from the time we dropped the car, from the time I gave them the keys to the car, to when ultimately they gave me the keys back. And I thought originally that I was just going to be like, oh, hey, yeah, he scheduled the appointment. No. Nope. Had to pay for it out of my own pocket. Gonna have to get reimbursed now. Fucking stupid shit, I know. Also, I'm aware that all cars act differently. So if you hop in like a Jeep, which is what he had, versus jumping into like, say, like a sedan, it's gonna have a different feel. Particularly if that car is built more like a truck than it is like a sedan. Or if it's like a diesel engine versus a gasoline engine, it's gonna have a different feel. Or, for instance, if it's, I don't know if the Jeep, I don't think the Jeep has 6 cylinders, but a car that has 6 cylinders is gonna operate different than a 4-bagger. You know? But, yeah. His gearbox is much different than I anticipated, and I kind of knew that going in there because you know, obviously companies make different types of gearboxes. So the likelihood that his shifter is the same as the one I have in my Toyota is near zero. I remember seeing one of my other friends, one of my other coworkers who had a manual transmission. And just looking at him try to find the gears in his gearbox was just like, oh yeah, first gear's somewhere around here, second gear's over here someplace. I mean, they're where you expect it to be, you know what I mean? If first gear's up, second gear is down from there. Third gear is, you know, to the right of first gear. You know, that sort of stuff is obvious, but like, my gearbox is very straightforward. Like you know when you're in first gear, and you know when you're hitting second gear, and you know it basically pulls you through the gears. And this was kind of like, I'm not sure if I just shifted into third or fifth. It's partly because I'm not used to his gearbox, and I'm not really sure how long his throw is on his gears. So that's part of it. In much longer throws on his gearbox. So it was still fun to drive, I'm not gonna lie. It's just everything about his Jeep was completely different than my car. He's got a shorter wheelbase. He's higher up like a truck. Like I said, his gearbox was different. His engine was obviously definitely more powerful than my engine was. I was cruising down the highway at 70 miles an hour in fourth gear. I could do that in my car too, but my engine would be like at 4,000 RPM screaming at me. And his was somewhere in like 2,500 or 3,000. It was not at all going, hey, you need to shift into fifth gear now. And this fucking Jeep had 6 gears. I'm at 70 miles an hour on 4th gear going, why the fuck do you need a 6th gear on this car? I mean, I say that about my car too. Why do I have a 6th gear on my car? I've never driven so fast, and my engine's never squealed at me so hard that I felt like, oh, I gotta shift out of 5th now to keep the RPMs down. Not that my engine's ever squealed at me. I just mean, like, I'm not really sure if it's better to operate a vehicle when you're on the highway. Is it better for it to be, say, in the, 3,000 RPMs? Or is it better for it to operate at 25,000 RPMs in a higher gear? Okay, so as you can see, we learned our lesson from last time. We got barrel bombs this time. So what we didn't know was that I targeted, instead of targeting the barrel bombs, I decided to target Kashala there. I don't think it's really going to matter much here in a second. He seems kind of tired. That's no good. So the braces, actually bracing up for a monster reeling back is a real fucking deal when you're fighting the Elder Dragons. You can see that ate like, because I didn't brace, it ate like almost half of my meter there. And that's how you fight the Kashal door. Now typically when you get up here in this section of the Kashal door fight, generally this is like the craziest portion, because when she wakes up, generally she starts throwing out like tornadoes, which makes it very difficult to get at her. And if you've already used up all of your flash bomb grenades and she's now immune to them, best of luck, buddy. Best of fucking luck. Anyways, that's all 3 Elder Dragons. We got some cutscenes, I'm sure, after we finish this 20-second timer. We'll do those cutscenes, and then after that, I'll cut the episode and we'll come back, and hopefully the next episode, if it's not something, I don't start running into ridiculous tempered monsters, we should be fighting the final boss here in the next episode or 2.
Great work, partner.
I knew you'd pull through. You're amazing, dragons. Yay. Everyone else is all thanks to you, but Pard. Having said that, you see, handler, guess who's back with a vengeance? Aha! I'm back with a vengeance. So you heard a credit. I need you direct shop. That's why the commander and I handpicked you in the first place. Little news to share you myself. Remember how my old friend told me you were going to track down a certain place brimming with energy? You found it. I was thinking about checking it out myself. Chances will explain why the Elder Dragons have started going bonkers. And my friend has a message for you. I promised we'd cross again, and so we must. I shall not take the boat until you get here. Nifty, that's the...
All right.
Hear that? Personal invitation, which means you're coming along. Figure your hand will figure out the rendezvous.
Okay, back to work.
Okay. Now we're gonna go talk to the commander.
Impressive.
Fine work taking care of those Elder Dragons. Everything that transpired, we should send word to the guild immediately. I'll have Captain ready a ship. However, it's unclear why the Elder Dragons returned the Elder Recess. We'll have to continue our research until we find out the answer. Either way, start compelling information. You have something on your mind? Admiral's been making plans again. Has he... Whatever it is, I suppose you're going. You and your partner, huh? I'll have to handle that. Whatever happens, your partner will be by your side. I'll be waiting here for you. Blah, blah, blah. Anywho,
Hey, partner.
next
Are you sure you
time,
wanna go on that
like I
quest
said, we'll
with the
probably fighting the last boss. He's a big boy, so it might be 2 episodes. We'll see.
Thank you.